Hey everybody. I'm just going to do this last few minutes without music. If anyone wants to pop in and say hi, they can. I can't actually see myself, so. Which is kind of funny, right? You really can't even like see yourself. It's kind of goofy. She should show up. Joel spinning. But it doesn't. It's okay because I can see myself, but still. There's an army guy named Joel. He's spinning. Here I am. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Just got to turn the comments off there. All right. I think it'll be bigger on this one. There I am. One watching. I'm watching myself. One watching. I'm watching myself. One watching. I'm watching myself. It's very echoey. All right. This won't go very long because I don't use. I got like 3 broadbands going. I gotta pay a fine, But the quality is so much better on YouTube than Facebook, isn't it? How's everybody out there? Just only got 11 more minutes to go, so I didn't want to get music blocked, so it's just me here. Let's see what's going on today. Not much. 4-day holiday. I'm aggravated at Facebook because I got a hate speech strike because Lisa D, I think Lisa D had a post about I think it was Washington State passing a law that defined removing your condom during sex without the woman's consent is rape, which should be the case. And she expressed a little doubt that would really be enforceable. And I said, I think it will be because a lot of men, I guess the algorithm on Facebook detects the gender word for adult male person. And then I associate it with the word that begins with a D and ends with a B and refers to a person who isn't very smart. And Facebook removed the comment and sent me an account strike, which I did not contest because I have my own way of dealing with Facebook, which is that for 20 days after they do something like that, I don't purchase any service that's advertised on Facebook. And then I send letters to the advertisers that I did not patronize, telling them the reason why. Because I figure that's more effective than, disputing them. So the first 3 random businesses that came along, I did send letters and said, your products look interesting, but let me tell you why I won't be purchasing your services because you're advertising on Facebook. And they did this thing So I think that when Facebook hears from advertisers, who are spending money to be on their platform, they're more likely to get the message. So it's like a tit for tat kind of a thing. That's something I urge you to do. If Facebook does something to you that you don't like, don't contest it on Facebook. Just go down in your scroll, find the next 3 prominent advertisers or groups or whatever that have a known corporate address. Send them a letter with a stamp and an envelope. Explain the situation and say, I don't think I'll be patronizing your products because you're on this platform and they did this. And why don't you contact them and explain what the problem is with what they're doing. Mr. Zuckerberg, he only listens to things that affect his bottom line. So anyway, that's what I did. Let's see, it's a 4-day holiday. Because here in Illinois, a little bit out of breath. Here in Illinois, Abraham Lincoln's birthday is a state holiday, which means the state employees get the day off. And then Monday is, of course, a federal holiday for all government employees. It doesn't always work out that way, that they're together like that. But sometimes they're at the beginning and the end of the week. And you can take just 3 days and connect a week. A couple of years ago, one was on a Monday and one was on a following Friday. And you could take just 3 days off and end up with 10 days in a row to go somewhere. Of course, that's really never been something I could do because Lori is a teacher, and in February, that's not when they get time off. So we've never been able to take advantage of travel like that. Because there are plenty of places to go in February that are warm. It's carnival time in a lot of jurisdictions. Of course, you really can't travel now. So one of my goals is I've always wanted to visit the city of Lyon in France. Seems like it's more kind of my style. It's more of a working class, good bike riding city. It's also where the Roman capital was, of Gallia. And I said, I'm going to start researching and looking for places to stay. But it's a hopeless endeavor because there are no flights scheduled. Like you go on the flight schedulers, there's nothing because Americans can't go anywhere because, we screwed up our coronavirus response. And, I know coronavirus is a word you can't say on YouTube because then you get demonetized, but I don't care. I'm not monetized. So, we can't travel anywhere. There are no flights. There's, it's nothing. So, Lori will be retired at the end of February. I'm sorry, at the end of May. So, that will open up some options. I used to always take August off, but I think I'm going to change that. I used to take July off. This year I may take September. And hopefully by then the virus will have abated. We'll be able to go somewhere. So it says 9.9 miles, 55 minutes. Heart rate, 117, 2,374 calories on the day. I'll still have to walk like 5 miles back and forth in the basement to make my calories. So, I used to upload on this channel a lot back in the day. This used to be Pole Dance Fan channel. And I haven't poled now in over a year and a half. Some of you know that not last Thanksgiving, but I mean the year before in 2019, I fell down the stairs right over here, carrying some underwear up the steps. And I landed on this shoulder and just messed it up really bad. I was in a lot of pain for a long time. Finally got into PT, OT, started to get the function back. It's still very stiff and doesn't really move. If you look subtly, you can see how the pivot here is wrong still. There's a nice pivot. This one does not. It's getting there, but, you know. So then coronavirus came. And I was pulling up at Lush in Milwaukee. Get some fluid here. And around St. Patrick's Day in 2020, we went on total lockdown. And my wife and I and my son are locked in this house and have been for a year. And I know there's people that talk about, you know, being on lockdown and having a bubble. No, that's not the way it works here. We never go anywhere, ever. We don't see friends. We don't visit people. We don't go shopping. We don't go to the store. I made one clinic visit for work, and I got one visit for my shot. Groceries are picked up in the car trunk. They're ordered online, dropped into the trunk. Never enter a building. That's like twice a month. Beer and wine, the same thing. In the summer, of course, we did bike ride outdoors and do things because, you know, it's outdoors. But we never saw any other people. We didn't go anywhere. Didn't socialize with other people. And, of course, I stopped going to pole classes up in Milwaukee because I won't drive anywhere because if the car breaks down, you know, I might have to get in a tow truck or be around another person. So that's totally out. I have gotten a shot, one. My shoulder is better. And I do plan on returning to pole at some point. My goal, March 1st, probably. Of course, that also means I'll have to return to, you know, working out in the field and supported living in nursing homes and all that, but that's okay. I'm kind of tired of being cooped up. It is very stressful here for a number of reasons, some of which I really can't talk about in this situation, but it has not been good. 'What can I say? 59:35, 20 more seconds, but I think I'm going to go to the end of this, the ride that's marked. I'm using Zwift. It looks like I'm very close to the end of this ride, maybe another 10 minutes. So anyway, if you're watching, if you want to say hello, leave a question, you can. I have not been on this channel in ages. I use it all the time to watch videos, but I never make any anymore. I feel bad about that. I don't have a pole anymore. This area flooded about 2 years ago. It's a long and sad story. We're not depressing everyone, but, you know, it is what it is. There's a lot of things I'd like to be doing, but it's hard to get certain things taken care of, like house repairs and everything, when you can't allow anyone in your house. So I see 3 people watching. Leave a comment, say hello. I do have a screen open. The heat just flipped on, so that was the thing. Tell me how you're handling the pandemic. What do you do for exercise? What did you think of the impeachment? I can't say I was surprised that Trump was acquitted. I've never made any bones about the fact that I consider the Republican Party to be a an utterly bankrupt entity. Not just morally bankrupt, but bankrupt in an ideological way. I think Donald Trump sort of proved that when he came along and showed that what Republicans had always said were principles weren't principles. The only principles were really just racism and misogyny. So, the Republicans sort of ratified that today in their vote. The upside of that is that the Republican Party may very well end up self-destructing. And I think it's important that that happen. If ever there was a party that needed to be destroyed completely, it is the Republican Party. They don't offer ideas. They don't offer policies. They didn't run on a platform in the last election. So one cannot even say, you know, if you're a Republican, I stand for certain things, because you don't know what you stand for, because there is no document other than Trump. Trump is the document. So to the extent that Trump is bankrupt, morally, ethically, and ideologically, so is the party. And in fact, let me just give you a number of ideas or examples. Let's shake it out. Historically, the Republican Party was against tariffs. They would say, well, we believe in free trade. But then Donald Trump came along and he would get angry at this world leader or that world leader, or he made certain domestic promises. And bingo, all of a sudden there was a tariff. Now, I'd say that there should be tariffs maybe sometimes. But when you say, I represent a party that doesn't belong to tariffs and believes in, the freedom of goods across international borders, and then the first thing you do is slap a tariff on Canada because you're angry at Prime Minister Trudeau, well, that's, an illustration of your ideological bankruptcy. So there you have it. Not to mention that it's a party that is essentially the hotbed of anti-Semitism, a hotbed of racism, a hotbed of misogyny, and a hotbed of internalized misogyny, since many Republican women who are public spokesmen for the party are essentially advocating views that are in the support of their own subjugation. So let's hope that the Republican Party collapses soon. It can't come soon enough. That's my opinion. Yeah, so that's my feeling on that. So I have a lot of exercising I can do. I've got the bike stand here. The bike stand is, I think it's made by a company called Deuter or Deuter. I don't know how it's pronounced, D-E-U-T-E-R. I'm using the Zwift app here on the iPhone. I don't know about the Zwift app. It's okay, but it's kind of hard to use. It's too small on the screen, and the graphics are kind of blah. And I don't really understand exactly what's going on half the time, but it's okay. The stand I have, the bike stand I have, is not compatible with Zwift. It doesn't hardwire into the app. I do have a cadence meter and a speed sensor on the wheel that I bought, which connect to Bluetooth. So it does give a kind of rudimentary reading. But I got my Fitbit and I do a manual edit with my heart rate. So I've kept myself busy through the pandemic, learning Portuguese or trying to. Let me highly recommend SpeakingBrazilian.com with Virginia Langenhammer. It is, in my opinion, the best, the most professionally produced Brazilian Portuguese instruction channel on YouTube. Her videos are also available in an audio form on most of the podcast servers, including iTunes. And I believe you can access many of her videos and audio right on her website. I am probably going to join her YouTube club. You know, it's sometimes hard to get serious about it. I mean, I speak French pretty, I hate to say fluently because I know that sounds ridiculous in the sense that you can't really speak French fluently when you're sitting in your basement all the time. But, I'm pretty good at it. I mean, I'm functional. For some reason, I just can't get it going with Portuguese. I've had a hard time getting focused and really, I'm really interested in it, but I don't know. I just haven't gotten over that hump of getting into it very intensely. But I do like Miss Langenhammer's channel. I think she's just fantastic. She does lives all the time, Q&As. She just got back from Sao Paulo. She did a series of videos in the United States. She traveled to Yellowstone. She's done a couple of videos with her mother-in-law cooking. She's vegan, which works out great for me because I'm a vegetarian. So, that's cool. Being Brazilian and being a vegan is probably a big challenge in a sense. And I know there are more vegans down there now, but Brazil is very, very meat-centric. They actually do a lot of cattle ranching down there. So it's kind of interesting to encounter someone on YouTube that is Brazilian but is also a vegan. Although I do eat dairy, so I am actually a vegetarian, not a vegan, which is a little bit different nutritionally and I would say ideologically. You'll sometimes hear a lot of conflict between vegans and vegetarians. I don't do that kind of conflict. I describe myself as a meat avoider. I would, for all kinds of reasons, rather not eat meat. Some of them are ethical. Some of them are based on sustainability, and so forth and so on. But I live with meat eaters, so, I can't be preaching about it, especially not to the cook. Let's look at the numbers here. It says 11.7 miles on the app. 289 feet change in elevation, but that's all kind of fake because I'm not really hooked in. 1 hour, 10 minutes, and 18 seconds. My pulse right now, 117, and I've burned about 2,500 calories. I always think I'd have so many cool things to say if I did a live, but I can never think of them. I guess I will say, getting back to the whole Trump thing and the pole dance thing, in 2016, when Donald Trump was elected, I remember hearing about a book that was written about him. I think it was actually written by one of his ghostwriters. The guy basically said, the title of his book was Everything He Touches, He Destroys, or something to that effect. And there has been no truer prediction, really. In the year before, we always had our fights and our arguments in the poll community. There are some persistent conflicts in the movement. We all know what they are. If you're not in the community, I can summarize them into there's sort of the stripper versus fitness dichotomy, which is a sort of general argument between pole being a form of dance deriving from stripping and sex work. The other side wanting to sort of demarginalize pole as a fitness activity. That is a gross oversimplification. But, that's just a strain of conflict there. Of course, I do acknowledge that pole in its modern form that we think of is absolutely derived from strip clubs and exotic dancing. But I also kind of understand that for a lot of people, they're not going to be able to come to it unless they sort of can play up the fitness side of it. I sort of feel like, generally speaking, most people who stick with it sort of come to see that eventually. And you don't really need to be as strident as some of us are. Just kind of let it sink in. It does eventually. Anyway, so like I said, we had our arguments. We have other kinds of arguments too. A lot of them are sort of the same arguments that are in the rest of society. Different views on feminism. Disagreements about gender presentation, gender orientation, gender identity. So in that sense, it's not different from anything else. But when Donald Trump became president, it was as though, those traffic cones, right? A big megaphone. It was as though every single difference and every single division just got magnified. And then when Corona came along, a sort of interesting thing happened. So one of the things about pole community is there are quite a number of libertarians. And most of you know, I have some pretty strong views about libertarianism, which is I feel that it is I flirted with libertarianism in college. I read all of Thomas Szasz' books, The Myth of Mental Illness. Used to subscribe to Reason magazine. But over time, when I sort of looked at libertarians in practice, it seemed to me like libertarianism is really just a political philosophy for 16-year-old boys through 24-year-old boys who basically want to do whatever they want to do when it suits their purposes. But when something happens that is a problem for them, then suddenly they want the full weight of the state to come down to back up their point of view. And you sort of see this with a person like Rand Paul, who is ostensibly our only libertarian senator, but who is in fact, you look at some of his votes and you can see he just toes the authoritarian Republican line, with the exception of his views on electronic surveillance. But if you look at his sort of personal conduct, refusing to wear a mask, exposing his staff to illness, he's basically just, a end of the elementary canal. So when Corona came along, that libertarian element sort of attached itself to the anti-maskers, the COVID deniers, and so on and so forth. And that really started to be a rift. And then, of course, there were also just people in the pole community who they were Trumpies. They had drunk the Kool-Aid, And it turned out to be very divisive. It broke a lot of friendships apart, a lot of studios. And then, of course, studios fell apart because of COVID, fractured a lot of business relationships, fractured a lot of personal relationships. So everything that you see in our wider society has fallen down into the pole community. But it's been very problematic because this is a really small group of people, you know. And there's already a lot of pressure to tear us apart. I mean, people don't stay with it very long because it's hard on your body. A lot of, it's mostly women. And a lot of women really can't take the pressure that's put on them by employers and boyfriends and spouses because of the sexual shame element. And they will start out very enthusiastic, but believe me, 2 or 3 years of bullying by your parents and your husband and your boyfriend and your job, and you quit. And I can tell you, so many people told me that they just got out of pole because basically they got tired of the effort that went into constantly justifying what they were doing. And that's really a shame, but it is the truth for some people. So, you know, Donald Trump comes along. By the way, we're at 1:18, almost at the end of this ride. Let's run the numbers. 2,534, pulse 112. 12 miles on the Swift. So, by the time the Trump amplification came along, all of those pressures were just amplified and made worse. Then, of course, you had the destruction of the business economy, since pole dancing, as much as we like to think that we're special, we are a boutique fitness industry. There are many such. Yoga is probably that one, spinning, pole. These are all, you know, the type of storefront businesses that, you know, might have only 10 or 15 people in at any given time. They're low margin businesses. Yeah, there's a couple pole studios, I'm sure, where people are making good money, but not many. I mean, I'm sure that for a substantial number of, and I know this is true because I've talked to people that own studios. For a substantial number of people, it's like running a hobby farm. If you can make your expenses, it's great. Maybe you can make some money, that's great too. Yeah, I mean, maybe some of the big studios in New York that supply TV talent, or LA, are doing well. I have no doubt that, you know, given, and there's one here locally I think is probably doing really well because the partnership that owns it, it's their whole world. You know, they have really, really worked hard and they're not working other jobs. So sure, some people are going to survive it, but a lot of studios haven't. And here in Chicago, for example, let's get a hot pizza. Yeah, rest a little bit. Almost at the end of this ride. I gotta tell my wife to turn the heat off. You know, we've had a couple of studios where they have suddenly just flown apart. And there's one in particular that I, to this day, don't understand what happened. I knew a lot of people at that studio. And then one day, it didn't exist anymore under its ownership, and it changed ownership. And I probably knew 3 or 4 people at least I thought I knew them pretty well. But to this day, I don't really know what the deal was. So, well, I know what some of the deal was, but I don't feel like I got a full explanation as to what happened. And that's fine. I mean, nobody owes that to me. It's not my business. But I did sort of see what happened with that studio as sort of a perfect example of how Trump, COVID, and political controversy gender, racial controversy, put so much pressure into our movement that where it was possible to hold things together before, you just couldn't anymore. So of course, I got to rest. Take a couple deep breaths. So of course, Trump left office, and what he left behind was exactly what the author of that book said. He basically destroyed everything. And I would say I've lost probably maybe 10 or 20% of the friends I had. And partly just people moved on, partly people got angry. They won't network or socialize anymore on social media. Then they're the ones I call the IG refugees. They just do pictures and films now, TikTok, stories, whatever, because they just find the political environment so toxic and upsetting. And many of these people are progressives, but they sort of feel like social media platforms have been taken over by morons and brainwashed people, which is kind of true, or Russian bots, whatever. So, they're just out. And it's too bad. So, and I'm in the situation where I'm like, we're all going to get vaccinated probably by May or June. Or sometime, whenever, July. Polls going to open back up. Studios are going to open. Competitions are going to come back. But it's kind of like, well, you're kind of afraid if you see certain people, how they're going to react to you. I mean, I've said things on social media that I know are not popular with certain progressive points of view. Although I have to say, at least judging by my own peer group that I grew up with, I'm pretty far out there on the left. I mean, but I do like to nuance discussions and have sustained what I call briefing the case. And I'll make a post about this issue or that issue, and I won't say what issues they are, but I'll say, well, this or that, what do you think about this? And just the fact that you ask to have the convo, people get pissed. And I mean, I sort of understand that because I won't say there's areas where I'm not sensitive about things. Although generally, I think because I'm so old, I mean, when you get to be my age and you work in my job where everybody's furiously pissed off at you all the time and abusing you on the regular, you really kind of don't get upset about stuff. I mean, I'm used to being cursed out, and called names, and whatever. It really doesn't bother me. I'm fine with it. I don't get upset if you're angry with me. I get upset if you don't want to talk anymore because I don't see the point of it, of that. But I still kind of feel like, what's it going to be like if I go back to an event and there's all of this suspicion and anger and just worry and anxiety in a situation that used to be kind of a refuge from the rest of it. I hope people can relate to what I'm saying. So, yeah, there's that. It's weird. I mean, I cast my lot with Paul in 2008. I don't really have any. I have two friends. I have three friends, actually. Three close friends. So one lives in Indiana. He's my longest, oldest, closest friend. He's really far away. And, we do chat and talk on the phone every now and then. But, we're not local. So, it's not like I can just drop by his house. I'd like to, but it's just, he's far away. And that is totally cool. Then I have two friends here. Both of my other two friends have, I don't want to say, one of them has younger kids. Literally, like he's got a kid Well, you know, under 12 now. But like his oldest is in high school. I think the middle one is either right out of middle school, and the youngest one is still in what we used to call elementary school, although they have this weird term now, middle school, but elementary school is what I call it, K through 8. Oh, I gotta rest a little bit. Ooh, heartbeat's 130. And, you know, he's really not available to do stuff like bike riding. He's real busy with his kids, and his kids are boys. They're a handful. And 2 of them have special needs issues, which I can totally relate to. I have those issues in my family too. They're somewhat of a different nature, but believe me, I understand the stresses that involves. You know, so it's hard to socialize. So pole kind of became this thing for me where that's where I socialized. That's where I did my thing. You know, when I went on trips and go to Wisconsin and do things, I have a really devoted pole sister up there. Haven't seen her in a year and a half. I think she has a boyfriend. I have not met him. That's how long it's been. And haven't seen my pole instructor in a year. Although we talk frequently on chat. So yeah, it's kind of like everything is like in suspended animation. It's weird. So I feel perfectly comfortable talking about this because I'm looking at the thing and I see absolutely nobody is watching. It's funny I had that experience before because I really got pissed off at some crazy stuff a Polar was saying this summer. He is not on Facebook anymore at all. And I did a long video sort of criticizing some of his statements, which I thought were just absurd. Nobody saw that either, so probably just as well. He'd probably be pissed. Actually, I don't even know if that video is still up. I have no idea what happens to Facebook videos. They just disappear somewhere. That's probably just as well. I mean, live videos. But I don't know. The little timeline here is not getting all the way over to the right. I thought by now I would be done. I'm almost at an hour and a half on this total ride. It did an hour on Facebook. I do see some people are watching, so if you want to leave a comment or say hi, that would be great. But I'm perfectly willing to toil in anonymity. I really don't know what I'm going to do this summer. I will go back to pole because in my studio that I go to because I have a lot of friendships there. But I don't know, you know, like I used to be really, really regular about certain things. Like I would always go to all the PSOs because, you know, they were close by. And, you know, it's hard for me to take time off. So, you know, I have to go. Long trips are kind of, I mean, I have a regular job, 9 to 5. Although I won't at the end of the year. I am retiring. We'll see. We'll see. Actually, when all of this sort of blew up, the COVID, right before the Arnold, I've been talking to Benjamin about this. Because Ben and I used to travel places quite a bit. I really love Benjamin's company. I mean, he's really great to travel with because Ben is a lot more sociable than I am. I'm very shy. Ben is not shy. I can tell you funny stories about Ben. I'm really jealous of his personality. I wish I had that. I don't, but anyway, I was talking to him and I said, you know, there's just so many people. There's so much volume when you go to an event. Meet this person, talk to this person you met online. And then you get home and you still haven't met everybody that you knew from Facebook. So I had sort of begun focusing on just trying to build relationship with pullers that I knew locally, being sort of more intense about interacting with just a smaller group of people. But, they get COVID. So much for that. So, yeah. Well, I think I might leave this video up. And if people feel like listening to me ramble for 45 minutes and 38 seconds, they can comment. I said something you disagree with. Absolutely feel free to leave a comment. I think I'm going to wrap this up. Yeah, I think I will leave this up for a little bit. I won't even go back and edit it and see if I said something that will make sense, because I probably did say something that will piss people off. That's not my intent. I really do try to be sincere about stuff. I mean, seriously, I mean, if there's something I said on this thread that you object to, you can find me on Facebook. This is my real name. It says here, guard your privacy. I don't have any privacy. I don't believe in privacy. So you can send me an email at joelowen@aol.com. You can leave a comment on my Facebook page. Send me a PM. I have that messenger thing. Oh, look, I'm at the bottom of the screen. You leave a comment here. All right. Thanks for watching. Oh, we give you the numbers. My heart rate's 120 calories on the day, 2638. I got to end this ride. Let me tell you what that is when it ends on the Zwift. It's getting hot down here. Lori turned up the heat. End ride. .6 miles, 474 calories. 12.6, 474. Thanks for watching, everybody. 12.6, 474. 12.6, 474.